Randall Hank Williams was 3 years old when his famous father died. Nicknamed Bocephus by his dad, his career path was chosen for him early on by his ambitious mother Audrey, when Hank Jr. appeared on stage at age 8, singing Hank Williams songs. Hank Jr. became a featured touring attraction on Audrey Williams' Caravan of Stars, and he signed to MGM Records, releasing his first album when he was 14 years old. His second album found him singing his father's songs as the soundtrack for the film Your Cheatin' Heart, about the life and death of Hank Williams.
Hank Williams Jr. here has written a song that he's titled Standing in the Shadows. Hank, tell us about the special meaning that this song has for you.
Well, you know, Judd, as I travel around, I have all the fans and friends talking about filling the shoes of a famous man, a famous father, and standing in the shadows. And I really got the idea and wrote this song for all the fans.
I might say that it was a BMI award winner, and when Hank wrote this song, he was only 16 years old. That makes him the youngest award-winning songwriter in history. Here he is now, Hank Williams Jr., Standing in the Shadows.
I know I'm not great, and some say I imitate. Anymore, I don't know. I'm just doing the best I can. After all, I'm standing in the shadows of a very famous man.
Young Hank Jr. was obsessed with rock and roll and rhythm and blues, and was heavily influenced by artists like Fats Domino and Jerry Lee Lewis. He fronted rock and roll bands while still in high school, and even released a rock single under the name Bocephus. Eager to become a well-rounded performer, he became proficient on multiple instruments.
Operator, get in touch with my Marie. She's the only one that called me from Memphis, Tennessee. Way down yonder in the bio country.
By the early 70s, Hank Jr. was a top concert draw with numerous chart hits, but he yearned to branch out and perform his music his way. In 1975, he lined up some of Southern rock's best, including Charlie Daniels, members of the Marshall Tucker Band, and the Allman Brothers, to make the rock-infused album he had always wanted to make.
And I don't care where it goes.
But just before the Hank Williams Jr. and Friends album was released, Bocephus suffered an accident while hunting that nearly took his life.
We're crossing this snowfield, about 9,000 feet elevation, and he slipped and fell in the neighborhood of 500 to 700 feet.
His recovery was long and painstaking, but Hank Jr. survived.
I landed on a rock full force on my face, and they did a pretty good job. I never thought I'd sing again, and I told them it was up to them, and they got me going.
While recovering, he returned to the recording studio and stages, and in 1979, he released what would be a career-defining single, Family Tradition.
Lord, I guess I went and broke their family tradition. You get on me, wanna know, Hank, why do you drink?
The autobiographical Family Tradition was the first of a string of hits, including Whiskey Bent and Hellbound, Old Habits, and A Country Boy Can Survive. At one point in the early 80s, Hank Jr. placed a record-breaking 9 albums on the Billboard charts at the same time. His concerts were unforgettable, rowdy, sold-out events.
Yeah, my mama met my daddy down in Alabama.
By the late 1980s, Hank Jr. had racked up multiple wins for Entertainer of the Year from both the Academy of Country Music and the Country Music Association, as well as a stack of Grammys.
This is the one old Bocephus been looking for, I guarantee you.
During the height of the music video era, Hank Jr. made entertaining, award-winning country videos.
Do you wanna
One of these gave Hank Jr. the chance to sing on screen with his late father. There's a Tear in My Beer won a Grammy Award as well as Video of the Year awards from both the Country Music Association and the Academy of Country Music. In 1989, Hank Jr. sang All My Rowdy Friends Are Here for Monday Night and started a more than 20-year association with the NFL, appearing on millions of TVs each week for the opening of Monday Night Football. Hank's Monday Night Football performances would go on to win 4 Emmys and introduce new generations to the music of Hank Williams Jr.
Country folks can't survive.
He has seen triumph and tragedy in a career that spans more than 6 decades. His place in country music history is now written in bronze as he takes his place forever near his father in the museum's rotunda as a member of the Country Music Hall of Fame.
Country boy can't survive.